Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bob Short, and to steal someone else's catchphrase, I've bought you many things in my time. Not that you've appreciated them. I am a bit of a weirdo after all, and I've produced my share of rubbish just like everybody else. But this time the good folks at Earth Island Books have decided that it's worthwhile publishing my new book, Night Comes Down. And just as a little bit of a taster for you, I'm going to read you a chapter. Chapter 7, Deptford Fun City, London, 1979. Humans can be incredibly kind or incredibly cruel. They can also be incredibly disinterested. There are many times one's life falls into the hands of others' foibles. I wandered south of the river, encouraged to see the cuddly toys in Deptford, yet not entirely sure of how one would return north at the end of the evening. I largely followed the notion that fate would find a way. I was young and felt invincible in the way only the young can. If all else fails, my feet would carry me in the direction I needed to go. Regrettably, I found myself straying from the path. I found myself in Watergate Street, which was not so much a street as a narrow alley leading down to the Thames. It was like some peculiar portal into the land of Jack the Ripper. It was quiet beside the gentle lapping of the river. It was so pleasant that I considered sitting on the steps and just watching the eastward journey as the water flowed towards the sea. I then realised I was not alone and I was in trouble. 3 youths approached me, brandishing iron bars and other weaponry. Was that a knife? It was hard to see with the streetlight so distant. Their stated ambition was to kill me and throw me in the river. It occurred to me that Kit Marlowe had met a similar end not too far from here. There is nothing quite like the feeling of an iron bar crashed across the top of your head. It goes right through you with a deep and hollow thud. My knees gave way under the blow, helpless, and turned to rubber. Blood was already flowing down my face and I could barely see anything. I knew if I stayed on the ground I would die, so I stood up, a gore-covered, shambling monstrosity. I think my attackers were quite taken aback by the handiwork and that I had risen to my feet from the impact. I copped what I thought were a few half-hearted blows to my limbs and sides. My hand was pumping out its lifeblood upon the cobblestones, but I kept on walking. I was not thinking, I was moving, placing foot before foot, my back to the river. A wounded animal, I was beyond fear and pain. I focused on escape, but I was beyond internal monologue. I directed myself towards the brightest lights. Eventually there were passers-by fleeing in terror. I was a ghost of Christmas future, the embodiment of their late-night fears. They too could end up like me. Finally, a restaurateur told me through hastily locked doors to sit on the pavement away from his shop whilst calling an ambulance. Safely sat in the cold white light of Lewisham Hospital, many stitches followed. Shaved hair piled upon the floor as new wounds were uncovered. The police asked disinterested questions with no plans of arrest until the nurses chased them away. Shock faded into abject horror and finally sleep arrived to rescue me.